My name is Uwom Eze. I'm a forensic pathologist.
Okay, so my name is Dr. Yasin Bismillah. I'm a forensic pathologist.
I'm Dr. Jim Caruso. I'm the Chief Medical Examiner for Denver, Colorado.
My name is Kendall Benson. I work in Canada. I'm originally from Cameroon.
La forensic. Well, as such. Okay.
I am Professor Ryan Blumenthal. I'm at the CSIR International Convention Center in Pretoria, South Africa. It is the African Society of Forensic Medicine Conference, and gathered here are some of the world's top forensic medical experts. Join us on this special journey to discover what it's like in their world.
Forensic medicine needs champions to speak up for this medico-legal bridge that is a crucial element of social order and holistic health. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ASFM Pretoria 2025. Bienvenue.
Let us speak to some of the top minds on earth and find out what it takes to become a forensic medical expert.
So firstly, you need to have a love for the human bodies, because forensic pathology, as the word implies, it's pathology. You actually are looking at what's happening with the human body. You need to have a detective, almost CSI kind of mind, where you want to solve a puzzle. The bodies, they speak a lot. They are not alive, but they speak a lot, and it's giving you information. They're talking to you. So you need to have that detective-like kind of mind. And I think lastly, you need to have a deep-rooted love for justice.
So someone who wants to go into forensic pathology will need to be passionate about it and be in it for the long haul. 4 years of undergraduate training, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of pathology residency, and then another year of forensic training. And then you're just a brand newly minted forensic pathologist, and you still have a lot to learn.
You need to talk to pathologists who have experience or who practice forensic pathology, shadow them, and find out if that profession is for you.
Organic cause, like there's something wrong with the child that caused them to starve to death.
In South Africa, occurred in 1999. It was a 20-year.
So in terms of the methodology, it was...
The average person only sees 1 or 2 dead people in their entire life. These forensic medical experts see dead people every single day. How do they cope with constant exposure to death and dying?
Oh, I think on the one hand, one should never become distant. You should never become obtunded or indifferent to death, because it's too big an event. It has too many emotional and other implications and complications. But you have to be able to categorize it, to put it in a box somewhere, because you can't carry it with you every time you enter a death scene or enter a mortuary or interact with a family member or a witness. You have to get into a space where science supersedes and science takes over. Otherwise, it will unduly influence your decision-making and observational capacity. So it's not as if we become indifferent to it, but it has to be put in its place, so to speak. We are primarily medical practitioners. We understand the human body and the disease processes, etc. And in that respect, we can contribute to any discussion in a private or social setting, but the emotion and the personal suffering that goes with our job must or should stay out of those discussions.
When I started that, well, I was already a physician, so I have been dealing with dead people or dying people for years. When I moved to forensic medicine, I still remembered my first autopsy, where it was a case of a younger girl, 7-year-old, would have been burned to death by her parents. And at this time, my son was the same age as her. So it was a little bit difficult, but my professor told me that I had to stick to it. So since then, I have never been in trouble. You know, the case I have done during the day don't impeach me to sleep at night, because I can completely separate what I've done in the autopsy room from what I am doing in 10 minutes later. It's a very strange experience I have is a smell. When I move into the autopsy room, I lose my smell. And as soon as I can put my nose over the body, I don't care. I don't smell anything. And as soon as I move out of the autopsy room, I can smell you if you smell well or bad.
There are people who would try and hide those feelings, and then it becomes a problem later. You know, mental health tends not to listen when we say hide. So I think I'm very serious about mental health, and I think if one feels bothered by something, especially men won't always feel comfortable to go to people that they, you know, their close loved ones, because they don't want to impart what they see to their loved ones. But I think it's then important to, you know, man up and go speak to someone, to a professional, to a colleague, or to someone, because we need good law enforcement agents, we need good pathologists, we need good scientists, so we can't have them crack.
In the beginning, I found it interesting and fun, but it does take a toll on you. I realized that I don't see life differently anymore. It takes a lot of debriefing, but also internal. You kind of also have to make peace with what the world is. And I take so much of pride in seeing justice being done. You know, the dead body can't speak, and we do the speaking for them. And I think it's that what gives me some closure every day. And I obviously have good support systems, and I talk about my things, the cases I've seen. But I think internally, you need to understand that you are a medical doctor. You're seeing this with medical eyes. When you go to court and when you see justice being done, it almost gives you some closure, and that helps me mentally and emotionally.
I think there's a very clear line that one needs to draw between your own emotions, your own life, and your work. So even though you do get cases that come across sometimes as those ones that you would wake up in the middle of the night and think about, you have to fill your personal life with positive things. So you need to have a good hobby, you need to have people in your life that you appreciate or do things with, have a few animals, you know, do something that separates your work life from your personal life. And I think for some people it comes very natural to draw that emotional line, whereas for some people it doesn't.
Nous en avons pris deux qui nous ont particulièrement posé problème.
In that research, we have also selected no big conference happening in Angola, no more workshops.
I think accreditation is important. Accreditation in my office.
What one life lesson would you share after all your years in the mortuary?
So in terms of lessons I've learned, you know, kind of from the autopsy table, I'd say the important things are just common sense things, you know, like wear your seatbelt, don't smoke, don't engage in high-risk activities that have a high likelihood of dying. I mean, we all know what's dangerous, and I'm just here to tell you, like, yes, all those things that you think are dangerous, all of them are dangerous. Like, don't go swimming if you don't know how to swim. You know, just things like that.
That life is incredibly short. Even though it's the longest thing you'll probably do, life is incredibly short. Memento mori. Anyone can die at any time. We all make our plans, but what we see on a day-to-day basis is unexplained and senseless.
Great lessons as a forensic pathologist is to respect society, to respect yourself as a humankind, and to respect other people as human beings.
In the Caribbean, forensic pathology does not win votes. Forensic science does not win votes.
I think the field of the insurance companies,
there needs to be some sort of change in our country, but it doesn't quite happen.
So shows like CSIR Miami and CSIR New York put forensics in the spotlight. Let us speak to some of the world's top forensic medical experts and find out some of the most common misconceptions about our field.
The beauty of the so-called CSI effect is that it has brought our industry or profession into the limelight, and people are inherently interested and want to know more, and, you know, genuine curiosity or even morbid curiosity for that matter. The downside is that then people think what they see is real and applicable everywhere, whereas we know it's not.
One of the misconceptions I've seen a lot is that you can solve any cause of death. And when they look at CSI, CSI operate in an ideal situation, and we come from resource-constrained situations. So you find that a body is brought to a mortuary which is resource-constrained, and someone expected to get as much as possible from this body. Also some misconceptions, including the fact that when you are a forensic pathologist, people think that you are someone who drink a lot and is on drugs through the side because you are dealing with emotionally with dead. Some of us don't even touch alcohol. Like myself, I don't even drink at all. So it's usually a misconception. I've also seen a question being asked to me that, did you look at the eye? People think that when someone attacks you and you die, there's some photography which remains in the eye. So even the defense lawyers have asked me before that, why didn't I look at the eyes so that I can see the person who killed this person? So there are a lot of misconceptions in this autopsy field, yeah.
I'd say the biggest misconceptions that people have is that I'm basically a weird ogre that lives in a basement and cuts up dead bodies for fun. I've definitely met people before. I have a distinct memory of I was at a race and I met someone. There was someone I worked with, a lawyer, and I met his wife for the first time, and she's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "I work in the medical examiner's office." And she went, "Ugh, gross." And I was like, "Okay." That was the first thing she said to me before she said her name. She said gross. And I was like, well, that hurts my feelings. Like, I don't think I'm gross. But, it's like we're all individual people. I think we're a lot of fun. We're all a little nerdy. And we're not ogres that live in basements and enjoy cutting up dead bodies for fun. It's like, it's really for a purpose. We're trying to figure out why persons died so we can help the living, basically, prevent more deaths.